I should be reporting on some bad news for silver today, but indeed I'm going to go in the opposite direction. The glass is half full with silver, and I'm going to explain why and how as we explore. Yeah, silver's price is down today, but it's down for all the right reasons, honestly, especially with what we got with some economic data. In fact, the economic data that we got goes back to September. I'm going to be referencing an article here from Kitco News. Jim Wyckoff reports on this for gold and silver. Both those metals are down. In fact, all the metals are down today. I'll get into those numbers here in just a moment. But next time you see a dip that you feel comfortable buying, consider Summit Metals a great place to shop for all of your bullion needs. Check them out in the link in the description below and experience their great customer service for yourself. It's been a wild day for silver today to some extent, in that I was expecting it to get hit much harder than it did. Silver did reach a high of $51.91, getting that close to that $52 mark again. And then it dropped to $50.16, but right now it's only down $1.51 or 1.51% today. That's down 77 cents to $50.63. Gold has been down, but it is now just up slightly here, and the numbers just came through here moments before the markets closed. It's up 50 cents to $4,079.50. Platinum got hit hardest of all the metals today. It's down over 2%, down $32 to $1,519. Palladium down $9. But all this is due to some new numbers that came out going back to September because of the government shutdown that just came out, and it was stronger than expected. In fact, it doubled what they had thought it would be. Solid gains in global stock markets today as a result, and limited buying interest in safe haven metals. And so the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics released its September monthly jobs report today, and it showed a rise of 119,000 non-farm jobs, which was much higher than expected gain of 50,000 jobs. The overall unemployment rate, though, did tick up slightly to 4.4% from 4.3% in the August report. And the August jobs report showed a revised fall of 4,000 versus the initially reported rise of 22,000 non-farm jobs. So that's kind of what we're seeing there. The revisions kind of go down here. And the BLS on Wednesday said it's canceling its October jobs report due to lack of sufficient data collected because of the shutdown. Some October jobs data will be rolled into the report to be published after the Fed's December FOMC decision on December the 10th, according to the Bureau, prompting traders to scale back expectations for a quarter-point Fed reduction at that time. And that's what is weighing in on gold's price, falling here today. Gold and silver, especially silver. Gold back down a little bit here, but it's kind of been ticking up and down. But so think about this. They revised the previous report, August reports, down. Will they do the same thing once the other numbers come out in that next jobs report for now? In other words, we've seen 119,000 up, beating expectations. Will that number be revised downward again? I don't understand how that works or why that works that way. It seems like once you have the numbers, that's it. Why is there revisions, usually to the negative, later on? To me, it's political, which is why I call them the chefs at the Cook the Books Club. And in this case, it's working for the president instead of against the president, like in the past. This president regardless, but usually these agencies tend to work for the people who are in charge. It becomes political. I don't like that. I like the numbers to be straight and what they are. And of course, I like the numbers to be accurate, more importantly than anything. But revisions just causes people to question. Unless there's something I'm missing, if somebody knows that is familiar with the data, can explain why this happens, I would love to understand it more. But I'm asking out of pure curiosity here. But nonetheless, it's good news, and that's good news for silver, because that means the prices, even though the prices dropped, it means that likely it will become cheaper for people that are going to be consuming the silver in certain products, which is a good thing. That's one way to spin it, right? But here's the bigger good news for silver. It is still above $50 an ounce. I was fully expecting it to fall below that today. And by the way, the week is not over. The Mr. Slammy very well could show his face tomorrow, and we could get hit very hard tomorrow. I'm bracing for it. But I kind of doubt at this point, considering what I'm going to be looking at here in a minute, that we're going to see $54 silver, which is what many of you had suggested would happen in the poll that I had placed on the Sunday night's Market Watch. But there is some fight left in silver as we head into the weekend. And so Mr. Slammy may or may not get his way tomorrow, because what do we have going on with the Fed? Well, the expectations really have not changed by much. In fact, over the course of a day, it was 30.1% at a low yesterday on the 19th of November. But now it has increased to 39.6% chance that the Federal Reserve will cut rates by a quarter point. So it has risen. It's still well below. It's essentially a 60-40 split. 60% believe that the rates are going to remain unchanged. So that is a very interesting dynamic that we see that we've got. And now the other factors we're looking at is the dollar index. We're going to get to that in a moment. But let me first talk a little bit more about what's going on with the Federal Open Market Committee. The release of the minutes from the October meeting from the FOMC leaned a bit hawkish, showing many Fed officials believe it would likely be appropriate to keep U.S. interest rates steady for the remainder of 2025. There's only one meeting, and that's December the 10th, so many participants suggested that under the economic outlooks, it would likely be appropriate to keep that rate unchanged for the rest of the year. However, the minutes also said several participants said another cut could be appropriate in December if the economy evolved about as they expected before the next meeting. The minutes underscored the uncertainty around the likelihood of a Fed rate cut next month, given ongoing divisions in the committee over whether inflation or unemployment represents a greater threat to the U.S. economy. Now, the Trump administration has touted that prices have gone lower for some foods. That's right, some foods. Certain meats are still high, and they give some reasons for that, but other areas they've seen a fall in prices. But inflation is still here. It's still sticky. Remember, the numbers show it at 3%, and they're saying 2.5%, but in all reality, it's probably much higher than even 3% according to the official numbers. But inflation is still here, even if it's 0.1% year over year. That's still inflation. This is why we hold silver and gold in our portfolios, to protect ourselves against an inflated dollar over the long course of time, understanding the value proposition that precious metals gives as opposed to the value proposition assigned to this, a dying currency. Now, it's not going to die anytime soon, but its value is less by 3% now than it was last year at this time. That is dying a slow death. But the strength compared to other currencies is really what's profound here. And this is another good reason why we can celebrate silver today, because the dollar index has now reached back above 100. In other words, it's strengthening, and silver is not falling as much. And of course, gold is now up even more now in late trading here. So, and I think that's in part and parcel to kind of carrying along with silver, going to be dragged along with it back up here. But $50, above $50 an ounce, every day we stay above that is a day to celebrate. It's good news in spite of these economic data, which on the surface seems like promising and good news, beating expectations. So we'll see. Global stock markets and U.S. stock indexes posted solid gains today following NVIDIA Corporation on Wednesday afternoon delivering a surprisingly strong revenue forecast. The stock market rallies were also a negative for safe haven metals. That's another good news aspect we can share with silver. NVIDIA needs silver, and NVIDIA is the world's largest company, from what I've heard. and they're going to be a part of the AI revolution, data centers, and processing for all kinds of things with regards to all manners of robotics and everything else, computing in general. It's going to need silver for all of that. So that means that demand is going to be there. And I think silver is likely going to really set up a strong support level. And in fact, it would be interesting to see if I can get to a point in time where I might be able to say to you with some level of confidence that $50 may be the new floor or the new support. I'm not there yet. It's going to take a long time to get there. But if we can get another week of silver above $50 an ounce, it bolsters the case for sure. So fascinating indeed. So there's your market report for today. I think we can celebrate silver for sure. And let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. And check out the video that I posted earlier today. A wild announcement from the United States Mint. You're not going to want to miss that. It's a golden announcement that has made history. So I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.